I'm sure there are so many people who just feel like they need a kick up the bum. So this is that video. And I say, trust me, I'm a millionaire. I may not be a millionaire yet, but my goal is to be a young Black female millionaire. And at the moment, I'm currently on my way to investing my first 100K. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things Afro hair care, but also so much more than that. And I know that you clicked on this video because it resonated for you, because that title is a clickbaity title. So I can only assume that we are somewhat similar in the sense that we are financially focused and we have big goals. And even though I don't have the biggest YouTube following in the world, I've been engaging in business and investing for the longest time, maybe like 7 years now. And those of you who've actually been privy to that journey, you know how we doing. And there are certain things that I've done along the way and certain practices that I've developed that have literally enabled me to get to where I am now. And I was thinking about this whilst I was driving around in my car today, which is literally, by the way, my dream car. Please make sure you have your dream car on your vision board. Is that I'm sure there are so many people who just feel like they need a kick up the bum. So this is that video. And I say, trust me, I'm a millionaire. I may not be a millionaire yet, but my goal is to be a young Black female millionaire. And at the moment, I'm currently on my way to investing my first 100K. So here are my 5 best top tips, and don't worry, I'm a millionaire. This is manifestation. Number 1 is meditate and stretch daily. And I know a lot of you might be thinking that you don't have time, or that's just really long and really boring. What I'm going to say is learn to sit with yourself. Have you had conversations with yourself recently? Have you spoken to inner child? Have you been unpacking? These are the things that you actively need to be doing every single day, and it's more important than you think. If that means setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier, you need to get it done. You can start by using some guided meditations that are on Spotify. I will actually link some of the ones that I love to use if I'm feeling a little bit lazy, but you can start to develop your own practice. But all I want you to do is meditate and stretch daily. Opening up the body also means opening up the mind. And when you can sit with yourself in discomfort, you'll be amazed at the thoughts that are released and also the ideas that are allowed to then come in. I've had some of my best ideas when I've been doing my stretching and meditations. And I always say life leaves clues, and the clues are in those quiet moments. Trust me, you'll be amazed at how quickly those clues come to you, and the answers to all of your questions are all here. Number 2, stop overconsumption. Now, I'm a big believer that overconsumption is a very low vibrational state to be in, because it's satiating a need that comes from ego. Most of the time, I'm gonna say. So when you actually start to release yourself from like the shackles of capitalism and realize that you can just like stuff from afar and not actually have to own it, because 9 times out of 10, that ownership is actually just a performance to others. Run that one back. It's a performance to others, because most of the time we want people to know that we own certain things, right? When actually you can just appreciate or like certain things. Hello? I live right by a train track, sorry. When really you can just like and appreciate certain things without having to necessarily own them. But that also means you can then get rid of the clutter that's in your life or in your space right now and have a really refined and really neat, uncomplicated surroundings. I love minimalism, but also I'm a very maximalist girly, and I used to be knee deep in overconsumption because I felt like I needed something, or that having stuff would make me feel more proactive or more productive or feel a certain way, when actually you just need to refine maybe what's already around you. Sell what you've got, sell your shit on Vinted and Facebook Marketplace. They are such godsends. And then when you have a really clear idea about what's currently around you, then you can create plans as to what you feel like you actually need. Write lists, do Pinterest boards by all means. Come back to them a couple of weeks later and think, do I still really want this thing? Or get creative. Is there a way that you can reuse some items or materials? Can you make something? Can you repurpose something? All of that is so much more luxurious, I think, than the instant gratification of going out and just buying something quickly or ordering it off of Amazon. Once you stop the overconsumption and you start to have that refinement and clarity in your stuff, which is also an extension of self, you'll begin to appreciate how less is really more. And also it's just a much higher vibrational state of being. You just find that you end up having a little bit more peace rather than being in a constant state of need or want, which is actually like quite lustful. Do you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that though. I want a whole lot of stuff, but we have to practice self-control, okay? Because when we practice self-control, there's more money for coffee. Let's talk about that. Okay, my next tip, invest in the S&P 500. If you have not done so already, please, please, please invest in the S&P 500. Make it a regular activity that you do. Yes, have your ISAs. Yes, have your savings, but please make sure that you have investments going into the S&P 500. It is honestly my absolute bread and butter. Alongside, I have a pretty wide investment portfolio as it is, but the S&P 500 is just an absolute staple. And if you look historically at the data, I know charts might be quite boring to some of you, but it has grown exponentially over time. That's literally what the S&P 500 was designed to do. So whilst, yes, it does have downs, if you do what's called dollar cost averaging and you put a certain amount in every week or every month, that just means you're getting a constant average of price as it grows. And honestly, once you start this practice, you'll realize over the long term how beneficial it actually is, because the end result here is to have dividends. Once you have dividends, people, that get paid out to you quarterly, come back to this video and thank me later. Number 4 is start other businesses. There is nothing more rewarding, I think, than building something for yourself, being able to help and support others with your product or your process or whatever it is, and be paid for that as well. Even if it's just a little bit extra money every month that brings in, it does go to show that, first of all, what you do and what you sell is important and people need it. Yes, gratification. But also having that little bit of extra income is so, so powerful. And then again, you can use that in your other investments. And my last tip is to be brave. I spent a lot of my early 20s actually being quite fearful, and it wasn't until somebody told me to just be brave that I decided to say yes to so many risks, and those risks usually pay off. Even if it means taking a class that you were scared to do, if it means maybe writing that book or that story or doing that art project that you've been thinking about and been too fearful to really dive into. Maybe it's been to set up a podcast or a YouTube channel. My biggest fear has always been not knowing what the result could have been. So my best advice is to take risks wherever you can, because you just never know where they're going to pay off. And that is it. Those are my 5 tips as somebody who is working towards being a young Black female millionaire. But more importantly, we are investing our way to our first 100K. If you want to stay up to date with my journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you over in the next video. Bye.